guess this means that we are now live for episode 2 of my podcast. Thank you so much. I see that there's, wow, quite a few people that have joined and are watching. So thank you, thank you. We appreciate your support. For those of you that have missed my first episode, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get enough viewers or followers or whatever you call it so that this series can be monetized, and all of that, the profits from all of that will go directly to Vets Returning Home so that we can keep our program sustained. So thank you again so much for your support. I have to say that I have kind of pride myself on the fact that I am pretty fearless. Like, nothing scares me. There's a whole episode that I could do just on that, like how and why I am fearless. But I got to be honest with you, this is a little intimidating. You know, I spent I don't want to, blow this out of proportion, but I spent a good portion of my week trying to figure out what this second episode was going to be about, and how do I, entertain all these people that are taking this time out of their day to watch me. It's like, who am I? So I decided that today is going to be, I'm going to talk about those most frequently asked questions. As the director of Vets Returning Home, I talk to a lot of people. I average about 80 phone calls a day. I have meetings back to back to back with, people in the community as well as veterans. And they all want to know, so who are you and why do you do this? And how do you do it? So I'm gonna share little bits of that story. It's not a one direction answer to that question. So there's, the story will unfold. I am not a veteran, and I've never been in a homeless shelter. I've been homeless when I was 14, right after the 9th grade. I found myself on the street for 3 months, and I slept in gas station bathrooms, those kind that the bathroom is outside the gas station. You got to go inside, get the key, and then go unlock the bathroom door and then take the key back. So I would go to the gas station, use their bathroom just before the gas station closed, and then I would put a stick in the door so it wouldn't close and relock. And then I would return the key, and then after after the gas station was closed, I could go in there and sleep. Sometimes I slept in under the picnic tables at the park, under the picnic tables because it might be raining. It was a way to keep warm or dry. And most people don't know this. I do. At least, 46 years ago, when you take your car to an auto repair shop and they're out in the parking lot waiting to go into the bays, they don't keep those cars locked. So I slept in a lot of people's cars, and they had no idea that there was like a homeless teenager sleeping in their car while their car was at the auto repair shop. But homeless at 14, right after the 9th grade, and then I found myself pregnant with my first son. So I got a job working midnight shifts. I lied about my age. I worked in a factory. I wasn't old enough to drive, so I had to hitchhike. That was horrendous, even then. It's not probably because it was midnight, late at night. After about a year and a half of taking my life into my hands every day, getting into cars with strangers, I then became a roofer and a drywaller. And I did that for, a couple years. I couldn't get a decent job, so I eventually realized that in order to really support my family, I just need to figure out how to start my own business. And so I'm going to fast forward and, again, other episodes about my business ventures and what I learned in how to become an entrepreneur and actually be successful at it. We'll do that in another episode. But 3 businesses later, I figured it out and became relatively successful. I'm not extremely wealthy, but I made more than my fair share of nickels. I started my current business in 1999, started in the industry in 1995. And after 20 years of doing the same thing, I felt like I needed to do something more meaningful. And I knew I would do something for the homeless. I worked as a volunteer for a local nonprofit, a very reputable nonprofit with amazing programs. I'm not going to mention the name of it because I'm going to slam them a little bit. But I volunteered with them for about 10 years and was very successful in fundraising. I raised over $3 million for them over a 10-year period. I got really disgusted in watching how, the director was making $250,000 a year. And I thought, I am not only writing my own checks to support this charity, but I am like begging, my friends and my business acquaintances and just, pounding everybody to, help these abused children. And, when you see somebody just dragging so much money out of the nonprofit, it just was sickening. So I decided to no longer support those structured charities, the 501c3s, and I just started giving money away. I'd have conversations like my son would call me and he'd be like, "Mom, do you remember Becky?" "No, honey, who's Becky?" "Remember Becky? I had a crush on her in 8th grade, and I don't know what's going on with Becky." Well, Becky was a single mom. Oh, well, actually, her husband was killed in a car accident. So she's a single mom with a 5-year-old working part-time at a college. It was a great job. She made pretty good money. But she made too much money to get any assistance. And then not enough money to cover all the expenses that she incurred when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So she had her co-pays and her deductibles and time off missing work because of her chemo appointments. And he's like, can we help Becky? I'm like, yeah, let's help Becky. So, I would do all kinds of stuff like, have a spaghetti dinner at a local restaurant and ask for donations and things like that. I got to be known as like the person to call if somebody passed away and they didn't have insurance, like, let's bury your Uncle Harry. And, I think everybody should have a funeral. We can't just ignore that part. But it got to the point where it was kind of taking too much of my personal life. So, for example, my pastor at my church had asked me at one point, he knew I had at that time had a big house and by myself. And, so it wasn't unusual for me to have like a single woman from my church who lost her job and lost her apartment and is living in her minivan. And I'd be like, yeah, bring her over. So I think the one of the real tipping points was when I asked my son if my grandson could spend the weekend with me. I'm like, hey, can I have Giovanni this weekend? And my son said, no. I'm like, what do you mean no? And he's like, no offense, Mom, but you have people at your house, I don't know them, and I'm just not comfortable. I'm like, okay, well, it's just a church, ladies, but still, I mean, I get it. And then my CPA was yelling at me. He's like, Sandy, you cannot give away that kind of money, post-tax dollars. You need to give your money to a structured charity so you get your charitable deductions, and it's costing you way too much money and you're not getting the biggest bang for your buck or whatever. So all of those conditions brought me to the point that it was time for me to do something more meaningful in my life. I did my research. I knew it would be for the homeless. So I just Googled, Metro Detroit homeless and started studying what was happening. And honestly, I thought it would probably go in the direction of, helping the soccer moms living in their minivans after the 2008 housing crisis and things. But that's when I learned about the plight of our veterans. So I purchased the old Red Cross building that was sitting empty in foreclosure. It had just been sitting there. And I think probably, a couple of things that happened was I closed on that building on August 1st of 2013, got my first veteran August 3rd. And forgive me if I'm being redundant, but none of this is scripted. So, I might have mentioned some of these things in my first podcast, but when that first veteran walked through the door, it's just been nonstop ever since. We've housed over 1,700 veterans there. And one thing that happened that I want to share with you that I think is almost, I don't know, it kind of shook me, is I made a phone call to the VA. I was speaking with the director of the homeless division, and I said, hi, my name is Sandy Bauer, and I just wanted to introduce myself because I just purchased the old Red Cross building in Roseville, and I'm in the process of starting opening a transitional housing program for our veterans in crisis. And she said to me, and this is a quote, she said, well, you may be in a position to purchase a facility, but you are not qualified to run a program. And I I had to grit my teeth and not say what I really wanted to say, but my response to her was, oh, I'm sorry, have we met? Because I thought this call was an introduction. I didn't know that you knew me. And, she kind of walked it back a little bit. Well, I don't know you, but, you have no experience in running a program, and, you're not even a veteran, and you're not a social worker. So what do you exactly bring to the table besides the facility? So anyway, 7 years later, 1,700 veterans later, obviously, maybe I wasn't qualified then. None of us really knew what would happen and how it would unfold, but it's been an absolutely amazing journey. I was sharing with some friends a few minutes ago. I just came from a little breakfast meeting. I got a call from one of my former veteran guests from actually 6.5 years ago. And he asked to meet with me this morning. And we just met for coffee. And he's got a great job. He's still in the reserves. He was a sergeant in the military, and now he's still in the reserves. And I'm assuming he's still a sergeant. I don't know. I didn't ask that. But he's now starting his own business, but that's why he wanted to meet with me. And it's just kind of a mentoring thing that I do with all of my veterans. Anyone, if you need some help and some guidance, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help anybody to get to where they need to be. But I think that's God's plan. If I help you and you help her and she helps him, then the world becomes a better place. Because we all can't we can't do this individually and help everyone and make that big of a difference. But we should all be in it together. So, but anyway, I was sharing this morning that when I first arrived here to do this podcast, I had to check my makeup because I'd been crying. And, this guy, I remember him very clearly, and I said to him, the reason that I remember him is that, he's cute as a button. And two, he was one of those guys that came into our program and he followed all the rules and he really wanted, a place to regroup, and he needed that hand up. But he was sharing with me this morning how he came to Vets Returning Home and under what circumstances. And his story just touched me in two ways. One, the difficulties that he experienced coming home after serving our country. and trying to acclimate. It just shouldn't be that hard for our guys. But the other thing that really, really got to me was the fact that I did not remember the details of his circumstances when he arrived at Vets Returning Home. And I just think I just felt that was sad because, he's telling me how much I changed his life, and I don't even remember it. And there's just so many of them. But I can tell you that my role at Vets Returning Home has been one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in my life, but by far probably one of the most challenging. I have no regrets. I just wish that somehow Vets Returning Home could go out of business, meaning that there are no more homeless veterans, that our veterans are being taken care of as they should be. And it's still not happening. Things are getting better. Well, I should say things have gotten better under the last administration. I don't know what this administration is going to do. I'm not going down the political avenue of this to this conversation. For those that know me, know that I can be very vocal, but I'm going to try and keep politics out of this series completely. So when I started Vets Returning Home, I was able to turn my company over to my staff. They've been with me since I started the company in 1999, more than qualified. They've done a great job running my company. I still get paid by my company, and that's how I am able to volunteer all day. I volunteer about 70 hours a week. Is it, am I good with that? I am. I'm okay with it. It's hard. I'm 62 years old, and it's a lot. But still, when I think of the difference that my time can make in someone's life, especially those of our veterans, then they could have my last breath or my last minute, and I would give it gladly. So I don't know, frequently asked questions. Okay, so where'd I get the money to start Vets Returning Home, and who funded that? Probably a sad part for me is I had the money. The building was in foreclosure, and if anybody knows anything about foreclosed property, you have to pay cash. There is no bank going to give you a mortgage. So I knew I had to pay cash to get the facility, and then I would need cash to do the build out. I would have to furnish the facility and then carry it until the community saw the work that I was doing and would help support this, right? So I didn't know if I would have enough money because I didn't know what it was going to cost. I didn't know what I was even really getting into. This was just literally a leap of faith in that after much prayers and soul searching, just a leap of faith that, this is God's work and God's going to see it through. So my best friend and my mentor, his name was Ned Homefeld, and he's the founder of Spirit Airlines. And I called him and I said, "Hey, Ned, I want to start this charity." And I told him all about it and what I wanted to do and about the facility that was in foreclosure. And I said, I need help. I don't want to spend my cash and tie my money up in the facility knowing that I'm going to need God knows what to actually launch the program. So my friend Ned bought the building, and he held the mortgage for me. And I knew, he told me that, he would have my back in order to get me through this whole launch of Vets Returning Home. And so that kind of gave me some comfort knowing that I had a go-to guy that had my back. That's a great comfortable place to be when you're starting any kind of venture. You know, you need a mentor. You need, a person that will catch you if and when you're going to fall. And obviously, founder of Spirit Airlines, a shrewd, smart, successful businessman. It was nice knowing that I could pick his brains and network through his contacts and all those things, right? And it worked out great according to plan until my dear friend was diagnosed unexpectedly with leukemia and died 6 months later. And, kind of scared me, because then it was like I'm on my own. And I wasn't even really truly established yet in the community. But so anyway, Ned purchased the building. I, made mortgage payments to him, and then used my retirement fund, my retirement account, to renovate the building and furnish the building, and then carry the program for pretty much, I don't want to say by myself, but pretty much by myself that first year. I made it to month 10, and then I ran out of money. So I borrowed, actually I think from Ned, month 11 and 12, I borrowed $5,000 2 months in a row, and he let me slide on the mortgage payments, all that stuff. I was behind in the mortgage and everything, but borrowed, the $5,000 2 months in a row. And then the coolest thing that happened, and this is why I say, you just don't give up. You got to have faith. But Veterans Day came around, and I got a phone call from a reporter, and I'm embarrassed for the life of me. His name slips my mind. That's terrible. But anyway, I got a call from a reporter, and he said, hey, can I send a camera guy over? I need just, 15 minutes of your time. I want to get some B-roll for a segment that I'm doing on Veterans Day upcoming. And I said, sure, absolutely. So this camera guy comes, and he's like, well, I said, what do you want to do? He's like, can you just show me around, and I'll just get some footage? I said, sure. So we start walking through the facility, and I'm kind of explaining what we do and how we do it. And 3 hours later, he was there for 3 hours, and he just kept asking all these questions. And, as he was leaving, he gave me a hug. And he said, this is amazing. And so he left, thanked me for what we're doing. And then a few minutes later, like literally within 5 minutes, the reporter called me, and he said, I don't know what you did to my cameraman, but he's insisting that I get some FaceTime with you. Can you give me another 15 minutes? I said, sure. So he stopped by 10 minutes later. He must have been close. But he spent 3 or 4 hours with me as well. And they ended up doing a segment for Veterans Day just on vets returning home. And it was just this amazing, story, the way they put it together. It just highlighted everything about who we are, what we're doing, the mission, the volunteers, the veterans. It was just a great, probably 2 minutes, I guess. But anyway, that's what put us on the map. That year between Veterans Day and Christmas is when the community became aware that we were there, and that's when I started kind of getting the support that I needed to help sustain the program going forward. And it's just been, I don't want to say smooth sailing ever since. It has not been smooth. It's sometimes been brutal, and sometimes we made it through and it was ugly. But, like shut-off notices. I remember one time my girlfriend, Rhonda Brown, she sits on my board, and my phone just died. So one of my live streams just got lost. But anyway, that's what happens when you go live, right? So my friend Rhonda Brown, she sits on my board, and she's been instrumental in helping me pull this all together because, she's very connected and very philanthropic as well. Love you, Rhonda. And so she brought some of her girlfriends to Vets Returning Home to do the tour of the facility in hopes of getting support through her network of girlfriends, and which we've been very successful for. Thank you guys from Indian Wood, all my girlfriends and your husbands. And anyway, it's been amazing, the support that you've given us at Indian Wood Golf and Country Club. We thank you. But anyway, the funny thing is that we're in the middle of this tour. It was summertime. I don't remember what month, but it was summer, and it was hot, and it was 4 o'clock. And we were halfway through the tour. We were upstairs, and the electricity went out. And I didn't know exactly what happened. It took me a minute to realize that they shut off the power because I didn't pay the bill. So, right in the middle of the tour, right? So, anyway, I called DTE, and I said, yeah, you just cut the power here. And they're like, yeah, you need to pay the bill. And I said, well, listen, we're having a fundraiser this weekend on Sunday. I can pay it in full on Monday if you can just reinstate the electricity. And they were like, no, sorry, can't do it. You need to pay it in full right now, and we're probably going to require you to put up a security deposit. And I said, well, what makes you think that if I didn't have the $2,000 to pay the current bill, that I'm going to have whatever, a $5,000 security deposit? Well, sorry. And I said, well, you realize this is homeless veterans, right? I mean, we can't just let them go homeless. And I said, this is a problem. I mean, I have a, at the time, 89-year-old Korean War veteran upstairs, totally dark, right? Now, he can't come down the elevator. He can't make it down the stairs himself. He's going to need to be carried down. It'd be dangerous for him to try to walk down in the dark hallways, stairwell. And then I also had a veteran in a wheelchair. He would need to be carried down because his wheelchair is not going down those stairs. And nobody cared. So I said, you need to put a supervisor on. So I told the whole story again to the supervisor, and then they didn't care, and I said, we need to go a little bit higher. So I need to talk to your supervisor. So I finally got the second highest supervisor on the phone, and I said to him, listen, here's the reality of it. Okay, I should be booting up the kitchen right now to start dinner because I got 40 hungry veterans that need to be eating by 6 o'clock. I said, and come dusk, when it gets really dark in this facility, it's going to be dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to march them all out into the parking lot. And when I do that, I'm going to call Channel 2, Channel 4, and Channel 7. And when they ask me, how is it that our homeless veterans are homeless yet again, I'm going to respond and say, because DTE couldn't wait till Monday. So bottom line is, they finally saw how that would appear and decided to turn the electricity back on, and they gave me till Monday. So that was pretty cool. But we've managed to make it through. So there's some pretty tough times. I'm trying to think. Anybody got any questions that or any thoughts of anything I else can add to that part of my story? I want to tell one thing that happened. This is, and I've told this story quite a few times, but I never tire of it. And it is a perfect example of some of the things that happen similar on a daily basis at Vets Returning Home. So when I first opened, I donated 2 vehicles to our facility for the program. I donated an old Jeep, actually that I bought from Rhonda Brown's husband. And it had, at the time, 150,000 miles on it when I bought it. And then my son's buddy was selling a cargo van that he had replaced. He did carpet installations, and he was buying a new van. So I bought that from him. And those were the vehicles that we used to start our program. And we just beat the crap out of these vehicles for that first year. They were just running nonstop all day and night. And taking guys to the VA hospital for their appointments, and to the front of the court, and to court appointments, and on job interviews, and looking for apartments, and. So that first year, I'm broke, and I get a call, or actually my manager one of the veterans that volunteers to help me manage, he came into the office and he's like, "Hey, Sandy, the Jeep just broke." And I said, "Not a problem. I'm just going to call Mike Reel at Roseville Chrysler Jeep, big supporter of ours, and he'll fix it." So anyway, Mike sent a flatbed down, picked up that Jeep, took it back to the shop, and within an hour he called me and he said, "Sandy, I would do anything I can to help you." He said, "But there's over 200,000 miles on the Jeep." He said, "The heat doesn't work, it needs new tires, and the motor is seized." He said, "It just it doesn't make sense to put that kind of effort into that kind of vehicle." And I said, "I understand." So I said, "But thank you, Mike, I appreciate it." And when I hung up, I was on my cell phone. When I hung up, I still had my phone in my hand. And I sat there with my phone in my hand and I was praying. And I don't even know how long I was praying. I promise that I don't know if it was 30 seconds or 3 minutes, but I just was holding my phone and I was just like, "Please, God, help me. These guys need so much. I don't know what to do. I don't have any money left. I have to have that vehicle. I need a vehicle so that they can get around. There's so many and so much need." And I was driving a little two-seater sports car that was useless. And as I'm praying, my phone rang. So I stopped praying and I answered my phone. I'm like, "Hi, this is Sandy. How can I help you?" And this guy says to me, he said, "Yeah, my wife and I have discussed it, and we've decided we're going to donate a vehicle to your organization." And I said, "Oh, really?" I go, "How serious are you?" And he goes, "Well, we're very serious. Why?" And I said, "Well, your call just rudely interrupted my praying," and kind of tongue-in-cheek. And he said, "So are you saying sooner rather than later?" And I told him the story. I said, "I just got off the phone with the dealership, and they said that the car's irreparable." And he said, "Well, I'll stop by after work tonight. I'll bring you the keys." And, I've heard that before, like, "I'm going to help you," and sometimes it comes through, sometimes it doesn't. Excuse me. I talk too much. He showed up at like 5:30, and he handed me the keys to this minivan. It was a Kia. I don't remember what year it was, but I know it was 3 years old. It had 60,000 original miles. It was in mint condition, not a scratch, not a dent, no, not a spot of rust, and ran perfectly. And we drove that vehicle for probably 4 years. And it was actually a better vehicle than the Jeep because it could seat more people, and it had that space in the back where we could pick up donated items and things like that. I know that this program is much bigger than me, much bigger than my team of volunteers, and we've got God on our side. And thank you for all of the community does to help support this program. Even our friends logging in. Hi, Kathy Poynton, my friend Kathy down in Florida. I don't have my glasses on, so people are writing me messages and stuff.
The majority of people are asking, are you going to take live questions in your future episodes?
You know what? I was thinking about this. I think next week, my next episode, I'm going to have people can ask their questions live, and I will answer them. Now, I can't read and talk and blah, 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 so I'm thinking that my volunteer team here, they can read the questions and then pick out, normal ones, because I'm sure that there are going to be some people that are going to ask stupid stuff that I'm not going to be able to share. That's what happens when you go live, right, guys? I mean, this is live stuff, so what are you going to do? I'm coughing and my throat's tickling and my phone died. But, so with that said, now next week, and I'm planning on doing this for a while every Wednesday, probably around this time, noonish. So next week, get ready with your questions, and I'm going to answer them. And I don't care what they are. Anybody who knows me knows I'm an open book,
We'll have a disclaimer in the beginning.
What's that?
We'll have a disclaimer in the
Well,
beginning.
I mean, there will be things that I won't answer. Like if you ask, whatever, ignorant questions that are, whatever, way too personal or something like that. I'm not going to, disrespectful or something like that. I'm not going to do that. But I'll talk about things, whatever anybody wants to know. And I've really honestly just kind of always prided myself on that. It's like I'm not perfect, but, I always try to do the best I can. And, I've made more than my fair share of mistakes. And I haven't always been comfortable talking about and admitting my mistakes. So, like in my, 20s and 30s, it was embarrassing that, to admit that I was homeless and that I had a ninth grade education and, I was an unwed teenage mother. And those things were hard for me. But I've evolved. I've matured. A little bit of couch time, meaning therapy, to kind of get a grip on some of the really difficult challenges that I've had in my life. But, at probably in my mid-40s, certainly in my 50s, and now that I'm in my 60s, it is what it is. I like me. I'm good with me. And I'm comfortable with the fact that, I'm not perfect. And, life happens. And honestly, do I have regrets? I mean, I would like to have done some things different. But even the mistakes that I've made or, the crises that I've had to live through, those are things that made me parts of what made me who I am today. And as long as I'm good, that's with me, then that's what's most important. And I tell my grandchildren this all the time, like, don't wait for your mom and your dad and your teacher and your nana and your pastor to tell you how awesome you are. You get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you need to like who you see. And as long as you like you, then that's what's most important. And, don't forget to tell yourself how awesome you are. And I told him, I'm like, how I always tell you my shoulder hurts? And my grandson's like, yeah. I go, that's from patting myself on the back, because that's what we need to do. And I think that's a big part of what a lot of people forget. We all sit around at times, different times in our lives, sitting on that pity pot, feeling sorry for ourselves and, that whole wham, wham, wham. Well, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get on with it, and be proud of who you are and what you're accomplishing. And if you're not proud of yourself, then you need to change something. You need to do something a little different. And stop worrying about what everybody else is saying, what everybody else thinks, and don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, you can't do that. What? Don't tell me I can't do it. If you believe you can, if you think you can, you can. So, I think that's the only enough of my intelligence today. That's all I got, guys. I appreciate you logging in. I hope you appreciate, sharing or hearing my stories. And if it gets these homeless veterans fed and, keeps the lights on if us are turning home, then I'll keep it coming. So you guys just keep logging in and please share this. This is what's going to take, guys. I think we have, I don't know, do anybody got a number? How many people are live with us? I saw
We're
4.
on multiple streams right now, so it's hard to pull it all together.
Well, I saw on this one that
There's
I'm
6 on Sandy McNabb Bauer right now. But
six people.
6 people watching right now, but people have came on and off, and then we have other people.
Yeah.
coming,
So I saw it on this one. I saw when we first came on, there was like 400 and something that were either logged in or I don't know if they're watching. Again, maybe they put it on mute. I don't care. It's cool. But we got to share it. We got to get this up.
Hey Sandy, somebody asked a question. Will this be posted to YouTube? You actually have a YouTube channel where all the podcasts are going to be uploaded to.
Okay, so my YouTube channel will have all my podcasts, and actually
Sandy
some of the
Bauer.
Sandy Bauer.
Bauer.
Yeah, so is that at the @real Sandy Bauer or what is that?
At the Real Sandy Bauer is your Facebook likes page where all the live streams are gonna be uploaded, the podcast videos are gonna be uploaded, the podcasts are gonna be uploaded, but YouTube is gonna have the videos uploaded to it as well as Instagram and IGTV,
Awesome.
so.
I don't know what she just
We'll
said,
link
but
everything in the
hopefully you
description.
guys all know what that means.
You are not going into witness protection. You are very well found. You will be
Right.
found.
Okay, so the other thing is, real quick, because we're going to wind this down. My throat is still tickling. I did a post during the week. I still don't know what I'm going to name this podcast. So can you guys just weigh in and help me come up with a name? I've heard some really cool ones. Ashley came up with Sandy Says. Now, I don't know. I kind of think that sounds a little arrogant. I'd like to know your opinions on that. My friend Karen came up with Sandy Bauer Unscripted. And I came up with Unfiltered with Sandy Bauer. Because anybody who knows me knows that I have no filter, and that's part of why sometimes people don't like me. But
There was a good one that was posted too. Can I read it off?
sure.
Okay. It's on your likes page at the Real Sandy Bauer, and it was sorry, now I gotta find it.
There was quite a few, but we're also going to do a little giveaway too. So if you go to that, you got to put in your comments, but then, the ones that that you like that somebody else came up with, just, if you like it, hit like. And whoever's got the most likes wins the contest. You got
The Bauer Breakdown,
the Bauer Breakdown.
Yeah,
or Breakdown with Bauer. or
Breakdown with
something.
Bauer.
break it down.
Something
Break-
like that. Amanda Leanne Brunzel.
Amanda Leanne Brenzel. The Bauer Breakdown or Breakdown with Bauer.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm open for suggestion, guys. Help me with this. And then, what else? What else, guys? Oh, upcoming couple things. Upcoming. So we're doing this yard sale, rummage sale, whatever you want to call it, for Vets Returning Home on June 5th. And it's at our Furniture Bank on Hoover in Warren. And we're going to do a car wash that day. We're going to sell hot dogs. We're going to sell a bunch of the furnitures that we've collected throughout this, even prior to the pandemic. People are not transitioning out like they normally would. We usually furnish 3 apartments a month. We've only been furnishing on average of 1. Hold on. So I got to thin out that storage. So come and help support us.
Bake sale too.
And we're having a bake sale. So if you want to bring some cookies or pies or cakes or whatever, that would be awesome. Bill Brown Ford is restoring a 1972 Bronco, and they're going to be raffling that off, and we're the recipient. And I can't talk anymore.
We're gonna wrap this up and get you
So
some
we're
water.
gonna wrap this up and call it good. And hopefully next week I will not have a cough. Thank you again. Thank you, my heartfelt appreciation, and from our veterans that that need your support. I'm gonna thank you on their behalf.